If you are feeling disconnected, how can you get back on track? Or if you're a leader, how can you remotivate or motivate your team? When you don't have connection, when you have disconnect, this can lead to lack of motivation. And I feel like this is a universal challenge, not just across college student populations, but also in the workforce with professionals and or even leaders I've spoken with over the years, sometimes at times not feeling connected to the work that they're doing, and then what this translates to is not feeling very motivated. And this topic is also an area of research in organizational psychology, and there's even theory around how we need to feel meaningful connection to the work that we're doing in order to feel motivated. So I want to talk today a little bit deeper about lack of motivation, where it comes from, that disconnect versus connection, which is a universal human need, and what we can do about it. And so we'll leave you with some takeaways as well, some action steps that you can implement today to help yourself and or your team start to feel motivated. One of my favorite theories on motivation discussed in organizational psychology is Herzberg's two-factor theory. And he's talking about what motivates us at work. He talks about what we call hygiene factors, and these are just baseline necessities that, yes, we want and need these elements in our work, but they're not actually the things that motivate us. And these hygiene factors that bring us to baseline, just neutral, not actually motivating us, might surprise you what some of them are, because they include benefits, job security, and even pay. So yes, these are important, but research shows that they're not actually the things that are going to motivate us. And according to his theory, what does motivate us is growth, achievement, having a meaningful connection to the work, having autonomy and responsibility. These are the things that humans need to feel motivated. A common challenge I see working with organizations is communication, and more specifically, unclear deliverables. Because if we don't understand the task that is being asked of us, how confident are we going to be in our ability to achieve the task? And this can then cause a lack of motivation. We don't know where to start. We don't know if we have the resources to complete the task. We're not even sure maybe how they want the task completed, or maybe they're fine, the leadership team is fine for the individual to figure out the method at how they're going to accomplish the task. But if they don't have a clearly defined deliverable, they're not going to be confident in their ability to achieve. So that's one of the challenges there, clear deliverables. And when we don't have that, it's a communication challenge. And sometimes when there are performance issues, leadership teams can sometimes step in and handle some of the work for the other individual rather than working to coach them up. And then what this does is it contributes to, or takes away, that autonomy and responsibility for the employee, which is going to contribute to a lack of motivation. So we talked a little bit about the research that shows we need a meaningful connection to the work. And now, what do we do when we're not feeling like we have that meaningful connection to the work? Or if you're just getting started on your career path and you're starting to explore opportunities and you're trying to figure out what's going to be the right direction for you, how can you make sure that you choose the right direction and then stay in alignment with what is going to help you feel connected to the work and to help you feel motivated? 3 takeaways I'll share, and they are very simple, not necessarily easy, but they are simple, and I know you can do it. And the more you practice these practices and make them habits, then they do become easier. So the first one is to be yourself. Now, it sounds very simple. What do I mean by this? Being ourselves, while it sounds very simple, can be one of the most challenging things, because it requires being honest, not just with those around us, yes, but also, and more importantly, with yourself. And what that means is acknowledging what it is you truly want, and also equally acknowledging what you don't want. And why is this scary? Because there's some risk involved, which can create some fear. Because if I say no to this, if I'm being honest with myself, because this opportunity is not actually feeling good to me, I'm not really feeling connected to this direction, well, then that means I have to take a risk. I have to say, by saying no to this when I'm not sure what else is out there, and this can create some fear. But it's also the only way that you're going to remain open and have more time to prioritize your focus around what does feel meaningful to you. And so that's the first step, getting honest about what it is you truly want. And then from there, taking responsibility is taking the first step toward it. Take an action in that direction. And the second takeaway is to listen to your emotions. You want to, again, get curious about What is getting your attention? And sometimes listening to your emotions can mean focusing on the frustration. What is bugging you? Whatever's getting your attention, let it get your attention, whether it's a good feeling or a not so great feeling, because your emotions are data. They are informing you on your direction. If you feel called in a certain direction, that must mean because you have value to bring there. And if something is not feeling right, that means you want to move away from that direction. And then the third takeaway is to be intentional. Align your actions with your why. Once you really start paying attention to and becoming more aware of how you're feeling, what's getting your attention, what's not feeling like the right lane for you, and really honoring what it is you do want, then you can be more intentional with your time and choose to prioritize what is meaningful to you. But first, you have to identify what is meaningful to you. Okay, so how do you do this? How do you identify what's meaningful to you, and how do you get aligned with the right direction for you, so that you can then be intentional when you're not sure maybe where to start? You know, you want something different, you maybe feel like you want something greater for you, whatever that feeling is for you. How do you get there? Well, I have a very simple exercise that I give to my clients and students that I work with, and it is called Identify Your Drivers. And so what are drivers? Your drivers are emotions and or activities that make you feel like your authentic self. They light you up, they energize you, and guess what? They motivate you. And by knowing what your drivers are, you can then, and this is the key, find activities that stimulate those drivers. I'll share with you what my drivers are: freedom, self-expression, and helping others. So you see, these are very basic and simple, and they can apply in many different contexts. So maybe I'm doing these things in my job right now. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I haven't gotten there just yet. So what I can do and what you can do is find time, create time to prioritize your focus, maybe 3 hours a week, maybe it's 30 minutes a day, maybe it's 1 hour a day, whatever you have time for, where you can do an activity that stimulates that driver. So for example, I'm a runner. I also like to be very active and go for walks. And when I'm going for a walk or going for a run, I feel very free. So maybe I don't feel super free in my job, which I do because I work for myself now. And actually my drivers, I get to stimulate all day long, most days, not all of the time, but a good bit of the time with the work that I do, because I followed this process over the years. And so now I'm at a place where I do get to do things that stimulate my drivers pretty much all day long. And this helps me to feel very happy. And when we feel good and we feel like we're living out our purpose, doing what feels meaningful to us, that meaningful connection of the work, guess what? We feel motivated. So we become what we think about, and we become how we feel. So by changing yourself on the inside with this process that I'm sharing with you here, you can then change what you attract in your day-to-day on the outside. Remember, motivation comes from connection. And so we want to feel connected to ourselves, to those around us, and to the work that we are doing. Thanks so much for watching. If you got some value, please like and subscribe. This will help me to reach more people. And if you're curious about bringing a motivational workshop or corporate coaching to your team, reach out. The links to my contact and calendar are below, and I'll see you in the next one.